Welcome back to Hockey Talks. This is Carl and Dave. And the Montreal Canadiens found their way into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Somehow they managed. They had so many chances, and they finally did it. Out of the Columbus Blue Jackets, unfortunately, they will not make the playoffs. Montreal is in.
Yeah, it was crazy because 2 of the points they needed in the last 4 games was in overtime losses.
Yeah.
And then Columbus went on a wicked winning streak to make it close. They even won the night of the recording here, so it really was like 1 point away.
Yeah, it was literally one point away, but they found themselves in, and now they're playing the Washington Capitals. And boy, do we have predictions for you here about all the teams and all the matchups that are coming down within the next week here in the first round. Starting off with the Montreal Canadiens, who found their way in and playing one of the toughest teams, I guess, that have played in the regular season.
Yep.
In the Washington Capitals.
Washington Capitals is the team of the player who broke the record for most goals in regular season in his career this year. So how do you think they're going to fare against the Montreal Canadiens, which just barely seeped into the playoffs?
Well, look, Washington has proven to have a good team, right? Do I think it's a 1-year kind of thing with this group? I do. Mm-hmm. I think it's a one and done with this group. They have a lot of good players, right? And,
and goaltender.
And goaltending, that's all great too. They've proven that through the season. But playoffs, everybody knows, is a different game.
Yeah.
And I think the Montreal Canadiens will probably be the biggest upset in this playoffs, which I think they're going to take this series in 5. Montreal Canadiens will take the series in 5 games. Yeah.
So let's just rewind a little bit here. So it's going to be game 1 here in Washington. How do you see it going?
Game 1, I think Montreal will take it.
Game 2?
Montreal.
Both at home.
Both at home.
Washington. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Game 3 in Montreal?
In Montreal, I think the Capitals. Oh, no, I don't actually. I think Montreal will take it.
Montreal take it. Okay, what about Game 4?
Game 4, I think the Capitals will take it. They'll start finding their edge.
Yeah.
They'll realize that Montreal, they'll start, because
they play hockey.
Here we go. What I think is Washington will come in. They've been one of the best teams in the league. They're going to go, they think they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. They're a bit of an older group, right? Montreal is fresh. They're excited to be in the playoffs. They're going to come out hard. Right? And it's going to catch Capitals off guard.
Yeah.
Yep. Capitals are going to kind of fall back on their heels. Montreal will kind of walk all over them for the first few games. They'll try to catch the ground a little bit in Game 4.
Yeah.
But then it's pretty much too late at that point. 3-1, and the Montreal Canadiens will finish them off in Game 5.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy because I remember last year you made some predictions. We did the playoff bracket thing, and
I did,
and you did really good. I think you got it all right.
Pretty close.
Yeah,
pretty close. I had I think one team. It just
one miss.
I think it was pretty close. Not 100%, but I almost nailed that bracket last year.
So Montreal fans, I hope you're happy. You should see and I'm not even mad as a Leafs fan because you know what, your team can go through, and you're not playing the Leafs. I think you'd end up playing the winner of Carolina and Jersey. So
yeah, I think that would.
Play some good hockey and see how far you can make it. I'm looking forward to it. Now, the one series that I think is going to be the biggest upset that no one's really talking about, we all know St. Louis and Winnipeg is going to probably go to 7 games, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But the upset game that I have, or the upset series I have, is LA sweeping the Edmonton Oilers. I think with the goaltending that LA has, and Edmonton's just not going to be able to put goals in the net that they usually can.
Yeah. And
then you add on Skinner doing his usual thing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a shoo away, and I know how LA plays hockey. I'm sure we all do if we've watched any of their games.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing really hard.
They're a much stronger team than they were last year or the last couple of years.
And let's not forget.
Stronger.
Let's not forget a few years ago. This might actually be like 8 years ago, 6 years ago, when Kemper was playing for Minnesota, actually, and they were playing against Detroit Red Wings. He was going 50-60 save games.
Yeah.
And they ended up winning. Now, is he going to play as good as he did back then?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But he does have a Stanley Cup under him, and he is a Stanley Cup goalie. And I think there is an Excalibur of goaltenders that do have that.
Yeah, he's been playing fantastic hockey, right?
Yeah.
Really, really good hockey. He's been like one of the key things for LA, right? And LA's an older group as well, right?
Yeah.
But Darcy Kemper, if you compare the goalies between LA and Edmonton, Well, Darcy Kemper blows Stuart Skinner out of the water. Calvin Pickard is a good backup, but that's the key. He's a good backup, right?
Exactly.
He's not a starter. I don't think he's good enough to be a starter. He's a good goalie. Stuart Skinner, I think he's also a good backup. So
and that's all we have to say about that.
That's pretty much says it all. So I agree with your prediction. I think I don't know, sweeping. I think the Oilers might get one as a rebound game.
We'll see. The way I see it is every year there's a sweep. And I can't see it happening in many other series. Montreal very well could sweep Washington too, by the way. But if we're going to choose two, one out of the East and one out of the West, for the biggest surprises, like I said, it's a surprise. It's like we all know St. Louis and Winnipeg could go to 7 games. That's not really a surprise, right? But a sweep coming across the most likely candidates, in my opinion, would be LA, Edmonton, and Montreal, Washington.
Oilers, I think, are going to be in a bit of trouble. I think, especially with Leon Draisaitl, lingering injury. Nobody knows exactly what's wrong, right? But he's still been in and out of the lineup with injury. So we'll see where it goes, and that's a key part of that Oilers lineup. But as Connor McDavid back, but Draisaitl's a huge part of it too, right? So,
but as for sweep score, I'd love to see Toronto sweep Ottawa. And it's unfortunate because I'm actually I'm obviously a Toronto fan, but I don't hate the Ottawa Senators. I enjoy watching their hockey and all that. And it's going to be a really good hockey because I think in the season series, Ottawa's beat Toronto every game. But I do think, and obviously being a Leafs fan, I don't want to say that they're going to go all the way, because that's what we Leafs fans do. It's becoming a meme, oh, Leafs are going to win the cup this year. It's like, they got a long way to go. But when they play against Ottawa, I think the team has been built a little bit differently this year. And I'm excited to see what kind of changes are going to be made with the coaching style and if that's going to be impactful on the ice. In a playoff.
Well, it's going to be a different style we'll see from the Leafs for sure, especially with Craig Berube behind the bench, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's going to be completely different than what you guys have been seeing in the last couple of years with Sheldon Keefe, right? So Sheldon Keefe was also in the playoffs. You think New Jersey's going to go down first round?
I do. I think
it's going to be a Keefe curse. He did make it with Toronto to the second round. Twice.
Don't remind me.
Anyways, but we'll see how that series goes as well. We'll get diving into that a little bit yet.
But no, so let's rewind a little bit. Okay. Toronto, Ottawa. The reasons why Ottawa, I think, would win, goaltending. I think that if the goalies come to play, what's their goalie's name? I always forget it. Olmark, If Olmark comes to play, Toronto won't be able to get the puck by him. At all. It's insane. He's a very talented goalie. He's hot or cold, but I think if he plays well, Ottawa's going to win. Ottawa's going to win the series. And otherwise, if Olmark plays badly, Toronto's going to storm him over. They got it.
And Anthony Stolarz, which will be their number one goalie going into the playoffs. If he's on a hot streak, because he's been tending, when he plays good, he is really good. Really, really good. But he tends to fall off a little bit, and then he has a few games where he's not good. Not good at all. And that's where you see the Leafs kind of have to battle so much. But if he's playing well, the Leafs have been winning their games handily. Right? So it's going to be a battle between the goaltenders, I think. And Ottawa has had the Leafs number for a number of years. Right? But they've never faced in the playoffs.
No, and that's where playoff experience matters. And although Leafs just have a bunch of first-round exits, they still have playoff experience. They got a deep team.
That's another.
But who are you gonna choose then between those two?
If I'm gonna be honest, honestly, it's gonna go to Game 7, guaranteed.
Who's gonna win it?
It might be Ottawa. Might be Ottawa. I know. That it's not what people want to hear, but the Leafs tend to struggle against the Ottawa Senators. And I know that the Ottawa Senators are almost all the guys on that team haven't had playoff experience, right? Minus Allmark, who played for Boston and won a Stanley Cup with them. Right? But other than that, everybody's pretty much brand new. So we'll see how that goes. The Leafs have had a lot of experience, that main core. So I think Leafs will go the other way too. That's probably one of the toughest ones to navigate. Is Leafs in Ottawa.
I think Leafs in 6.
Leafs
that's
in 6.
That's just myself.
I think it's going to 7 in Ottawa. I'll take it. Another Leafs blunder in Game 7.
Yeah. So who's next on the list?
So let's go with Carolina, New Jersey here.
Carolina, easy.
Yes, I would think Carolina would take them out.
Yeah, 5
Carolina's
games.
been
I'll give them
5 games. Wow, that's what I was thinking too, honestly.
Yeah.
It might be 6. It may be 6, but I think Carolina will finish them off.
Yeah.
Right? Sheldon Keefe will go out on another first-round exit.
Yeah. That's the teams he builds, you know?
Yeah,
how he does it.
Builds. But yeah, Carolina, they have a strong team, right? They've got a really well-built, rounded team, and they've been in the playoffs for multiple times, like for the last, like, at least 5 years, I think they've been in the playoffs every year, not in the second round. So...
And previously, when I asked AI if they were or who's gonna win the cup, like 20 games ago, and it said Carolina's going not all the. I forget if they said all the way, but yeah, they said to the end at least.
You know, a lot of people apparently are picking Edmonton and Carolina in the final.
Yeah, so did AI.
another 06 rematch.
Yeah,
but yeah, so did AI. I guess. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Carolina, I think should have that one.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa, Florida. Let's go.
That's a tough one. I really do see Tampa getting that one.
I think so.
They just look like they're a contending team. And the worst part about it is whoever wins that one is going to go on to face Toronto or Ottawa.
Yeah.
And so we have to go through one of those. If Toronto wins, we have to go through one of those. And regardless, even Ottawa, they'd have to go through a Florida team again.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Once again, it's hard to avoid those Florida teams for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Tampa will take it.
I think it's going to 7 though.
Yeah, I think so too. But Florida doesn't quite look like the same team as last year.
No.
It does not look like, even though they haven't Marchand yet, and that adds a lot to it, but
makes them a lot worse.
Still not back, which is surprising. They figured
they're saving him for playoffs, I think.
Saving him for the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they might be over the cap if they bring him back. So
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I think Tampa is going to take it in. I think 6.
You think 6?
I don't think it's so.
You just changed your mind,
honestly,
okay?
Yeah. The more I think about it, I think Tampa, the way Kucherov's playing right now, he's been on fire. Like that team is really, really gelling, and I think Tampa's going to take in 6 games. I think
let's not forget Florida is the Stanley Cup defending champions. So
you notice how many times, besides Tampa Bay, how many times a team has come up from a Stanley Cup win and made it past the first round. Not very often.
Yeah.
It does not happen very often. So they're tired. They played the most last year, right? So they look kind of like a tired team. So I think Tampa might clean it up in 6.
Storm. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to Winnipeg and St. Louis. Now, Winnipeg, history has it that anybody that wins, like takes first place in the NHL, has a record of not doing well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So whether that's going to be true, I think it will be.
I think so. I think
so
let's not forget that Binnington just won the Four Nations Cup for Canada.
Yeah.
And he's a playoff goaltending. He's got a cup, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's playing on St. Louis, and it's looking more and more like it's going to go to 7 games, and St. Louis may give Winnipeg the upset.
Well,
I mean, I would say that that's a little bit less likely, though, than Winnipeg winning. So I would say that Winnipeg is going to win in 7 games.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm going the opposite way, and I think St. Louis will take it in 7.
Okay.
I think that this has very, very similar vibes to their 2019 run, right? They were far out of the playoffs. They went on a huge run just to get in the playoffs, like they did again this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kept carrying that momentum, which it seems like they're doing. They are not losing many games. They went on a 12-game winning streak.
Something like that.
Right? Before they lost a game or 2. And then they just keep tearing it up. I think St. Louis is on a really good momentum right now. And Winnipeg...
But we can't forget about Winnipeg's streaks that they went on, too.
Winnipeg did go on good streaks, too, right? But
yeah.
I just feel like St. Louis has that edge. Especially Connor Hellebuck also, but he's tend to choke in the playoffs. So we'll see if he can bounce back.
That's where you get Binnington. And Binnington kind of, he plays better when he needs to. So that's why I see it's going to be a very interesting first round there between those 2 teams.
Yep.
So I'm going Winnipeg, you're going St. Louis?
I'm going St. Louis, yep. Colorado and Dallas. No, this is the two heavyweights going right out in the first round.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably,
Series to
besides
watch.
Toronto and Ottawa,
No.
all the other tougher
This
ones.
is the series to watch.
This is the series,
Colorado,
but
Dallas.
the tougher one to decide. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Is who's going to come out on top, right? If I were to bet, it would Dallas, man. They've been really good in the playoffs.
I'm going to say Dallas.
You're going to say Dallas? Yeah. It's very close. It's going to go to Game 7 for sure.
Colorado's been dealing with some injuries lately, too, and everything, right?
Yeah. But I think it's going to be Colorado.
No, going to go opposite me there, too,
Yeah.
eh?
Yeah. Although Rathman's going to have some juice to try to get back at Colorado.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
For all that stuff to
I
come
think
down.
he's the wild card. He's going to be that extra goal they need in those games, you know?
Yeah. Nathan McKinnon, he just has that fire, man. When he wants something, he's like an unstoppable force. If he's healthy, if he stays healthy, right? So
Just get Perry to give him a neon hit to his head, and that usually changes things.
Yeah. But I'm going Colorado in 7. You're going Dallas in 7.
Yep.
Okay. Well, leaves us to the last matchup of the first round, which is Vegas and Minnesota. Who you got?
I got Vegas for sure.
Okay. Vegas. I'm not a fan of Vegas.
I know, me neither.
I
But
can't.
they're so
I don't
good.
know why. I really don't know why, but I just cannot get behind Vegas. And Mark Stone is a captain. I don't like Mark Stone that much. Maybe. I don't know. I just can't get behind Vegas. I'm rooting for Minnesota all the way, especially for Fleury.
Yeah.
Fleury's in the playoffs. I don't think he's going to see a whole lot of time. He doesn't think so either. But I would root for Minnesota. You know what? No, I got to go to Vegas. I think Vegas is going to take it in 6.
Very nice.
I love Minnesota, but Vegas is going to take it in 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your prediction? Vegas?
I think in 6 too.
Vegas in 6? Yeah.
It just, I just don't see Minnesota. I see him kind of winning a couple home games.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how it shakes out for that one, but that's a hard one to call too. You don't know if Minnesota's going to bounce back, and it's tough. But I would say if you're using logic, Vegas is going to win.
Yes. Yes, Vegas has been one of those quiet teams all season long. Nobody's paid too much attention.
Great hockey too,
but they're playing some really good hockey, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't hear much about them this year.
No.
Not much at all. They've been very, very quiet, but very good at the same time. So they're going to be a dangerous team, I think.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun as the season gets going on the 19th. Saturday. April 19th is the start of the NHL playoffs, and that is going to be some fun games. I think Edmonton doesn't play till Monday.
Real quick, who do you think wins the cup?
Oh, out of all these teams...
We didn't actually go over this.
If we were to make early predictions now, I'm going to have to say... Let's go with Colorado.
Looking through it, I can actually see a clear path for Carolina.
A clear path?
Yeah. Montreal. So here's how it works in my head. Montreal beats Washington. Carolina wins. Carolina beats Washington. Yep. Carolina goes through to beat maybe Toronto or Tampa Bay, which I think they could handle both those teams. Unfortunately, maybe Toronto would win. I don't know. I'm hoping so. Yep. But as a Leafs fan, I already know. Just don't set don't set the bar too high. But then Carolina would have to go through probably like an LA, and I think or LA or Dallas, and I think that Carolina will be able to do that. So I can see a Carolina Cup this year too.
Okay, Carolina Cup. Who are they facing in the final?
Dallas or LA. I'll say LA.
LA is a sleeper too. Right?
I'll say LA.
Wow.
I'll say Carolina and LA. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
What about you?
Carolina. Honestly, I think Carolina as well.
Carolina and Colorado. Me, eh?
Colorado.
Okay.
Not.
You don't think? You don't think?
LA. I think it'll be a good run, but I don't think they're going to get past the second round.
Yeah.
So if they beat Edmonton, they would probably play Colorado.
Yeah.
Or Dallas.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're getting past that.
I like how neither of us think Winnipeg and St. Louis is going to go
No.
far.
No, St. Louis, if they get past the next round, actually, they probably face Vegas or Minnesota. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's... Vegas, though, man. Vegas is a good team. But anyways, Colorado, Carolina is my thought.
There you go.
Here.
And who's winning?
Colorado.
Colorado? Yeah, I'm Carolina, you're Colorado.
Yeah.
There we go.
And you have, Carolina and...
LA.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
There you have it.
There you have it. Those are our thoughts, our predictions for the final.
If you're still watching, let us know what you think.
Things will change in the second round. But we'll also redo our analysis when the second round comes in. When the second round gets in, see who's in, see who's not. Make it see what we got right. And then we'll make some more predictions when the second round comes. But until then, thanks again for watching. And we hope you have a wonderful evening and enjoy the first round of the playoffs.
And remember, just once before I die.